Good morning, world. Time of America. Hope you actually my show I made yesterday, right? Yeah. What are you dying? Scrambled eggs. We need more days off, right? It's a day off. Monday, Tuesday, I work Wednesday, right? Yeah. Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna make some coffee in a sec. Sorry for a long wait, guys. I was just getting some coffee. Yeah. We're the chances are in the SHL Hockey League. Not hot. Most likely we move to VG, right? But you never know. I might start, right? You never know. I'm most likely moving to VG, obviously. Movies is cooler, right? Yeah. You think the Canadian players in the CFL were crushed when you said that? They probably are. They probably are, and that makes sense. I probably crushed them a little bit when I said that. Yeah, I mean, man, like I crushed the Americans and the Canadians, obviously, right? The Americans I crushed them because what? I crushed them because of what I said about the league, about the American players. I obviously crushed the Canadian players. Like, I've been like, we're crushed. Yeah, guys, the CFL doesn't think you guys are good enough. That's why you're not the star. You guys are not stars in the league, right? That's why I'm the hope, obviously. I'm the voice for the Canadian players. I'm the hope and the voice for the Canadian players, right? Because I can say whatever I want. I don't have to worry about getting fired. I don't work in the league, right? Yeah, I don't have to worry about getting fired, right? Yeah. Yeah, the Canadians must be crushed. Of course they are. They're not. The league doesn't think they're talented enough. That's why they don't think their own draft picks are talented enough. That's why they bring up all the American guys. I mean, man, I heard the Canadian. Yeah, and that's a crushing thought. Yeah, it's a crushing thought, obviously, to know that your own league that drafted you into the league that you work in, they don't think their own draft picks are good enough. Obviously, that's why they bring up the American guys. I don't like the Canadian kids, obviously, the CFL. Yeah, we don't like, we may be Canadian, we don't like the Canadian kids, and we like the American kids more, the young kids more, the American kids more. We put NCAA or undrafted, we like those guys more, man, than our fucking Canadian kids. Bring up the American guys, oh, that's funny, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Talk with Steve on about the SHL after this, right? Oh, you talk about guys anymore? Yeah, guys, I've been talking about guys for what, like 6 years, 7 years? Yeah, I made thousands of guys videos. One time I changed it up, right? I made way too many Sky's videos, right? Yeah. Why, you think you hurt the Canadian kids playing the CFL? Yes, obviously they were hurt. Obviously they're crushed. To know that, yeah, we're not talented enough. Yeah, the league doesn't think they're talented enough. That's why they're not the stars, man. And they close the doors on the Canadian kids. And they bring up the American guys, obviously. I mean, that's cold, I know. Yeah. All right, seriously, man, are the best Canadian players good football players. Yes, they are. I've seen highlights. They're amazing football players. The CFL knows that. They're amazing players, but like when you compare it to the NFL, because they're blind rather than talent, they see it as a letdown. They're not satisfied with the quality. It's not on NFL quality. It's a blindness that they have of the American. That's why they bring up the undrafted guys and the practice roster guys, NFL cuts, and those guys are the stars up here, and they lock the doors on majority of the Canadian draft picks. A few of them yet to be started, but most the doors are locked on most of them. Only there's only 7 Canadian players who start in each team, and the rest are the American players. So all the other Canadian players playing in each team have their chances of starting is not high because of the ratio. You can only start 7 Canadian players, obviously. I mean, the league start more than 7 Canadian players. Yes, they can, but they're not going to do that. No, they start 7, and all the other starting positions are the American guys. They don't like the Canadian kids. No, I don't like them that much. They're not that good compared to the American guys. They're not as good as the American guys when I have the American guys shot up here. And again, I keep saying this. These American guys who brings up here, they're not draft picks. They're not the CFL's draft picks, man. You wonder why he's not growing CFL. These are the people who the panel talks about, all these star players, and I'm like, I always found it very weird. Yeah, they're amazing players, but I don't know anything about these guys. They're not draft picks. So it's a bit weird to me, right? They're not draft picks, obviously. But are you shocked the league is not doing? Yeah, I'm shocked the CFL is not doing $500 of revenue because the American guys, the CFL brings up here, are very talented players, man. They put on a show almost as good as the NFL. Not as good as the NFL, but almost as good as the NFL. And yeah, no one cares. Probably because people just don't care about Canadian football. That's my answer, obviously. That's why CFL's struggling. Yeah, we're struggling. They're struggling with growth, CFL, obviously. Yeah. 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 Obviously. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You won at 54. Yeah, I know. I won at 54 on the CFL. I guarantee even the CFL Commission Board guys, yeah, you went a bit too far in our league. You hurt some of our star players. Yeah, I know. I went a bit too far. Obviously, I couldn't help it, man. I'm sick of the bullshit. It's been going on for decades, man. Yeah, that's why I exposed the CFL. Yeah, you hurt our American players. Yeah, but you guys are hurting the Canadian players by locking all the doors on them. Players who you draft and you just give all these undrafted guys from the States time to shine. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. We have to do that. The Canadian kids are not good enough either. It's not good enough quality football. Yeah, that's why they do that, obviously. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, why do they don't hit? Why does the league think the Canadian players not good enough? Because they're a bit more raw when the way they play. They're amazing players, but they're not as athletic as the American guys. American guys are a bit more athletic in the way they play. They're more coordinated in the way they play. The Canadian guys are amazing, but they're a bit more raw in the way they play. That's why it's yeah, they're amazing players. They're a bit more raw, but they're not good enough. That's why they bring the American guys. Obviously, they're not as athletic as the American guys in most cases. Some of them are just as athletic, but they're a bit more raw than Canadian players in the way they play. Obviously, that's why the CFL just brings up the American guys who are not draft picks, obviously. Yeah, I mean that's funny. I know. That's what you find where like they market all the you see Milt Stegall and Enoch Mob and Matt Dunning and they talk about all the star players in CFL. Yeah, they're killing up here in their CFL stars. Well, it's weird because they're not draft picks. Like they're just guys the CFL just brings up here who they put on negotiation with. They're not the CFL's draft picks. Obviously, except for like a few receivers. A few of the receivers they market they're Canadian. They're the draft picks, obviously. But like there's barely any Canadian stars. It's all the American guys that they talk about. They're not draft picks. Just guys CFL brings up here from different countries. They're not draft picks, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. But maybe there's a reason why I know it's a bit irregular where we go to the league. We have no choice, man. The Canadian players are not good enough. We have to bring the left of the guys, Ivan. Yeah, they have no choice if it's true, right? Yeah, we have no choice, Simon. We have to bring up the undrafted guys and have them in the stars now. Canadian kids are not good enough, obviously. CFL thinks, right? Only league doesn't think their talent's not good enough. The Japanese are amazing football players. They're not as good as our Canadians. And they're all the stars in the Pro League in Japan. And NFL Europe, and then NFL is the best American players. CFL, they just draft the best Canadian players to play locker rooms, and they just bring up all the undrafted guys from different countries. How they be the stars, but it's very weird. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna go get my pack of smokes at the store. Yeah, I'll enjoy showing you guys. 3 more days and I work Wednesday, right? Yeah. So when a Canadian player makes a play, yeah, when a Canadian player makes a play, they say this player was drafted in like the second round in the 2000, like I don't know, 2020 CFL draft. You're more invested in the league and the players because you know they're draft picks. Whereas the American guys, they don't say that they're not draft picks. They just say he played at this guy played at this NCAA school, and he signed in the CFL, but they're not draft picks. Obviously, they're not CFL draft picks. The American players, they're just guys they just bring up here from a different country on it. They put a negotiation list. They're not draft picks. I was like, oh, that's funny. I know. Yeah. Yeah. That's where you can't take the legends. You can't take the legends. Yeah, I find it very weird when they honor these guys because I know their dream wasn't playing here, man. So it's like it's weird, obviously, to me. I heard some Canadian fans. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's weird, but like they killed it up here. Yeah, I get that. They killed it up here, and I really do respect what these guys did up here. They have a success. Yeah, it's a successful story, but I know the dream wasn't playing here, right? That's why it's weird to me personally. Yeah, but it is cool when they honor the players. It's an amazing story, man. They didn't get an opportunity, but they killed it up here in Canada, and the fans love them. They had a legendary career up here, but I know their dream wasn't playing here, obviously. That's why I find it weird. They're only here by default, otherwise they never would have been here, obviously. And these are the people who the CFL honors as their legends, and like you, and they induct into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. And it's cool. It's a success story, but like you know, these American players' dream was not playing in this league when they were kids. They're here by default, so it's very weird. Oh, what do you think about it? Like none of these guys dreamed of playing the CFL when they were kids, man. They only happen to be legends and lead by default. Lead never dreamed of playing. It's very weird. Yeah, but that's funny. I know it's weird, obviously. Yeah. This QB passed for 3,000 yards. Let's honor this man today, and they all honor him. And they have the jersey in the stadium. It's an amazing story, obviously. It's cool they killed up here, but I know the dream wasn't playing, right? They're only here by default. Yeah, I even like, even though we killed up here when I was in CFL, like our dream was not, yeah, their dream was not playing here, man, when they were kids. It was playing in the NFL, it wasn't playing this. American football players don't care about the CFL. They don't even think about the CFL. Their dream is all playing in the NFL. The NFL is for the American players, right? It's not for the CFL is for the Canadian players. It's not for the American players. The CFL knows that that's why they draft the best players. They choose to lock the doors on them and they just bring up the undrafted guys right now. That's funny, I know. Yeah. But I guarantee you all the American football players who the stars in CFL, they're probably like, yeah, what the fuck, man? Like, we're the stars up here in Canada. We're not even the CFL's draft picks. Like, all these Canadian kids are the CFL's draft picks, but yet we're the stars up here. Man, the Canadian players must not be talented enough, man. Yeah, obviously the league doesn't think they're talented enough. That's why you guys are the stars, all you American guys, right? Because the league doesn't think their Canadian kids who they draft are good enough, obviously, to sell quality product to sell to the people who can on television. Yeah, if it's not good enough quality for pro football, they're not going to be a star. We have to lock those these guys. You have to be on the American. That's why they do that, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, but you could be wrong, Ivan. That maybe the CFL just locked those Canadian players for a different reason. No, man. There's a reason why they locked those Canadian. Well, it's not stupid. I figured it out. They don't think they're good enough quality product to sell to Canadian people. That's why they bring up. That's why all the stars. Yeah, the American guys put up more of a show. That's why they bring the American guys over. Like, duh. That's why they do that. They don't like the Canadian. Yeah, we don't like the Canadian kids. We like the American kids more. We like those guys more. That's why we bring these guys up and have them be stars. That's how it works, right? Yeah. But I hope league grows. It was not about the CFL. Yeah. Ivan, how much teams will you have in your SHL Hockey League? 25 teams. 13 teams in Canada, 12 teams in the States. That's good enough for the teams, obviously. And don't peak any higher than $32 million for the cap for the players. That's good enough for the players. They get league revenue now 14, 10, 12 million league revenue, obviously. It's good paycheck for the players. Yeah, fuck you, Irish. Just fuck dick, man. You do that, you're gonna crush us actual athletes. We miss on all that fun and all that fame and fortune. I know, but it's too late for those guys, right? Yo, Ivan, seriously, man. If you do that, you're a fucking dick, man. You're gonna crush us, NHL. Yeah, they're gonna be crushed, obviously. Yeah, NHL players, right? Yeah. My league is better than NHL. I can pay the players more, and they'll be world famous players in my league. Ivan, so if a player, yeah, if a star player demands 32 million for 10 seasons, don't pay them that, guys. They're not worth like a 384 deal. These guys, no. You gotta balance it out. They get 32 million for 2 seasons, and after that, you bring it down to 26, 27 million. You have to take pay cuts, obviously. But to keep the player happy, you can pay him 27 million for 3 seasons. That way, they make more money. And after 5 seasons, they take a pay cut. They make maybe 21, 22 million for another maybe 3 seasons. In the final 2 seasons, they make 19 million, 18 million in their final season, and they made like about $300 million with their league revenue in earnings. That's enough for the player, and after that, they have to take pay cuts when they're past the prime. That's how it works, right? That's how it works, obviously. Yeah. Yeah, but if you want to be a star, if you want the panel, the sport anchors to talk about you, the other star players, I have to be a star player. Won't be featured on the magazines and everyone buzzes about Ivan. You have to be productive on the ice, obviously. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. Obviously. And generational talent don't peak any higher than 50 million. That's good enough for the players. Well, you can pay them whatever you want. The GMs can pay them whatever they want, however how much cash space they have in the cap. But chances are the generational talent will get they will get paid their $35 million because they're great talent. The GMs will gladly pay them that because they're worth it. They're a big part of team success, and they put on the show on television. Well, you can pay those guys $35 to $50 million. But chances are the agents are going to demand at least 40 plus million because they're greedy. And the GMs will gladly pay them that. They're worth it. And they get the bigger piece of the pie for the league revenue. They make like 20 million league revenue for like a couple seasons, but you have to bring it down, obviously, right? Well, generational talent player makes 40 million for 2 seasons. That's 80 million. They made 20 million league revenue. That's $120 million in earnings for 2 seasons. And after that, they have to take pay cuts. They make like 30 million, 29 million in their next deal for maybe 2-3 seasons. They get maybe 18 million of league revenue. They take another pay cut. They make like their 24 million for 3 seasons. They get like 60 million league revenue. In their final season, they get maybe 20 million. 19 million, they get like 15 million of league revenue. They made like $400 million in earnings around there. That's enough money for the generational player, obviously, right? They don't make that in NHL. NHL athletes don't make that, right? Star players in the NHL sign like 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 million deals in the NHL. They sign star players. Yeah. They peak at like 12 million in the NHL. In most cases. Some make like 14, 16, but most NHL players peak at about that 12 million range, 13 million range they peak at in salary. Like Sidney Crosby peaked at 12 million. McDavid peaked at 13.5 million, obviously. And Austin Matthews, I think, peaked at 16 million. He made 16 million. He was the highest paid player in the NHL at one point. But the highest paid player in the NHL right now, I think, is Leon Draisaitl. He makes like 14 million. He's making even more than McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, which I find weird. Why is Leon Draisaitl making more money than McDavid? McDavid's better than Leon Draisaitl, right? Leon Draisaitl's an amazing player, a star player, but he's not McDavid, right? If they're paying him more, I find it very weird, obviously. Don't hate Leon Draisaitl, I'm saying, yeah. That's why I believe Connor McDavid only signed a 2-year contract for Edmonton, because he's not stupid. He doesn't want to sign like another 8-year deal with Edmonton. He doesn't have any cups. If they don't win a cup in the next 2 years, McDavid's out of there. He's probably going to go to an American team, maybe. Yeah. To strengthen his chances of getting that cup, obviously, that ring, obviously. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, McDavid chokes in championship games. For some reason, when in championship games, McDavid always chokes. He's not that productive in championship games that much. He chokes. It's very weird. Yeah, in both championship games against Florida Panthers, McDavid choked in both games. 2024 championship, 2025 championship, he choked, man. He even admitted in his interview, I didn't play that well. I choked. He admitted in his interviews with the press, I choked. He chokes in championship games. That's the thing about McDavid, obviously, he chokes. Maybe because he's nervous and he has so much pressure. He might be a bit nervous and it's a lot of pressure. That's why he chokes in championship games. He's kind of like a Peyton Manning in the NFL, right? Peyton Manning was amazing in the season, but playoffs and all that stuff, he fucking chokes, man. He choked in playoffs, Peyton Manning, right? Yeah, he chokes in playoffs, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. Like, what if Edmonton makes a challenge? If Edmonton makes it a challenge for 3 years in a row and they lose, after the McDavid's 2 years, he's out of there. I don't think he's staying. Yeah, I'm out of here. This is bullshit. We lost 3 years in a row. I can't take this shit. I'm out of here. Could have had like 1, 2, 3 Stanley Cups in my career, and I fucking blew it. I'm out of here. He's out of there, McDavid. If they don't win, if they make the challenge and they lose again, he's out of there. Obviously, McDavid. Yeah. Wow, you'd love to play those NHL. Of course I would have. Subban, Brad Marchand, Zed McKinnon, Austin Matthews, David Crosby. I would have loved to play those guys, but it's too late for those guys, right? They're already like pushing retirement or they're like halfway into their career in the NHL. I want to be king in a good maybe 10 years. from now, 8, 10 years from now. But don't forget, it'll take like 5 years to start the league. You have to build all like the arenas in Canada and the States. That takes time. And they have to hire all the people working in the league, and then they have to draft the first players in the first SHL draft. And they have to sign undrafted free agents, and they have to grab some free agents from the NHL. And that's how the league starts. And I have to do like 3 years of training, intense training. Yeah, you got to train stick handling, shooting. You have to train and practice with the players. That's how you know how good you are against the players, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the star players in your league are going to be the face of the league on the commercials, the magazines. All the sport anchors are going to be talking about them. You want to be if you want to be featured on the magazines and be on the commercials, you have to be a star player, Ivan. And if I am a star player, people in the league will be buzzing and talking about Ivan and the other players in the league, obviously. Ivan, that's hype. That's hype, obviously. It's major hype, obviously, for the game, for the league, obviously. It's major hype. Yeah. 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 The Burger House, yeah, Ivan, that's a good deal for the players. They're not worth any more. Yeah, they're not worth any more than $32 million. Yeah, Ivan, you're giving them league revenue. Yeah, I'm giving league revenue. With the league revenue, that's enough money for the players. They're making a lot of money, more than what most athletes make in other pro leagues. There are some athletes in the other pro leagues who are making more money than the star players in my league, but on average, they're beating out most of what players make in pro leagues, obviously. The NFL, most players peak at about $20 million around their season. There's some players who do make a bit more who are not. There's some even receivers who make more than 20 in the NFL. Maybe the highest paid receiver in the NFL makes like $40 million a year. So there's exceptions, obviously, but even $40 million a year, I'm still beating out most of what most athletes are making in the NHL, in the NFL. Obviously, in most cases, obviously, right? Like Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Chiefs, makes like $17 million a year, $18 million a year. And all the star players in my league are going to be making more than $18 million a year. They're going to be making like $20, $25+ million with league revenue. They're making more on average than all these pro athletes in pro sports. In most cases, not all of them, but in most cases. Bryson Zaire? Yeah. But there's no endorsement deals for my league. I'm not selling the Gates. But the star players get league revenue, which is more money than what the actual athletes make for the endorsement deals, right? Yeah, it's more money than what they make from the endorsement deals, the actual athletes. Ivan, when do you want the players to get their league revenue check? End of the season, they get the league revenue check. Why? You don't want to pay them the league revenue during the season? No, don't do that. Give them the check at the end of the season. Fuck, man, that's gross. Yeah. Their salary is divided bi-weekly during like the 8-9 month season. And at the end of the season, they get their league revenue check. For 10, 12, most likely what? Yeah. Give me a second, I have to use the bathroom. Back in a sec. Sorry for that wait. Anthony's a bathroom, guys. Yeah. Go to the store, get a pack of smokes. I'll enjoy the show with you guys. I'm gonna watch some Brad. And then, yeah. How much? What's the limit for league revenue? 14 million is the limit for league revenue. And generational players can make more, 15 to 20 million, but the other guys don't peak any higher than 14 million. That's good enough for them. Yeah, that's good enough for the players. But chances are the GMs will pay all the star players the high end, 14 million of the league revenue right there. They're going to pay them all that. That way they can pay more money, right? I guarantee the GMs will not pay the players 6 million, 8 million every league revenue. They're gonna pay them 14 million league revenue, obviously. But like you can pay them all 14 million league revenue, but you have to bring it down after a couple seasons. You don't want to overpay these guys, right? Bring it down, obviously. Bring it down by 2 million, 1 million. That way these guys don't do it and you don't overpay them. You have to bring it down. Oh yeah, have them, the GMs bring it down, bring the amount down for the league revenue. Salary, they have to bring it down. League revenue, they have to bring it down. That's how it works. You have to constantly take pay cuts from the side. That way you create more cap space for the players. So that works, right? Yeah. Because the players who demand 32 million for 10 years are the players who are selfish and greedy pigs. They only care about themselves. They don't really care about winning championships. If you care about winning championships, you would take the pay cuts. That way they can pay other players a bit more money. You have to create cap space. It's very important. Obviously. These other players want to get paid too. The good players want to get paid for 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, $15 million. Those guys have to get paid too, right? It's not just about the star players. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and fuck you, man. It's just a fucking dick, man. You do that, you're gonna crush us NHL leagues, I know. They miss out on all that glory, fame, and buzz, man. And all that money, too. You're gonna be crushing NHL. Because, yeah, you're gonna crush us, man. We're legends in the gatekeepers in NHL. I'd rather be a legend in your league. Your league is better than the NHL. It's better than the NHL. Yeah. However, you get paid. Yeah, I get paid my body. My deals with the league though. All the league revenue goes to me. Made from all the teams. I take the majority of the money. Not all of it. They have to save like 15 billion of it to put money into the season next year, and the players also get their league revenue. And you have to save a bit of money for the teams to pay their bills. Not all of it's going to me, but I get like, I don't know, like a 4 billion, 5 billion check, something crazy every 2 weeks. And the players are like, yeah, man, Ivan's making more money. Yeah, I'm making more money, you guys. You guys are still getting paid, man. You're getting paid a lot of money. You don't make any NHL. More money than what most pro athletes don't make, right, in their careers. Even though I was making all that dough, you're getting paid, guys. You don't make this in the NHL, right? NHL athletes don't make this. Yeah. Yeah. That's why the SHL will blow the NHL. It was, guys, where you guys on the show. So, all right, man, I'm saying, peace out, guys. Oh, hey, I'm sorry.